People meet KSI and they like expect him to be this horrible but he's like one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life and has time for everyone, but yet is like killing the world. YouTubers aren't anymore just like kids in bedrooms making videos. They're out here, you know. I'm gonna put this out here, and I think that KSI is the next rock. Like, gonna be absolutely huge in 10 years. Like, everyone in the world will know him.
So firstly, for those watching who don't know who you are, can you give us a little introduction to yourself?
Yes. I am Callum McGinley is my real name, but Callux online, YouTuber for the last 10, 12 years, and make shoes now, and own a production company. There's a couple things.
We'll start off right at the start. So what was your childhood like?
Childhood, it's a good question, you know. Childhood wasn't the best. Didn't have a big family around me, like mum and dad in London, but they were separated. Didn't have the most money. Grew up in a council estate in East London. My mum had to like get people to come round and like just to give us bread, milk, and like some orange juice, and that was kind of what we'd live off, like beans on toast and stuff. So shout out to my mum actually, because really like that I grew up with her and weren't like given the best hand, but she definitely like made the most of it. On YouTube and online, like obviously we only show the best parts of our life, but I think that a lot of people take for granted, or they guess that we've all gone to like the most amazing schools and we had all this money, but it was probably exactly the opposite. So yeah, when I'm sure we'll get into this, but when I was younger I had leukemia, so childhood cancer, and I'd been ill for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I woke up one morning, I was sleeping in my mum's bed, I was age 4 or 5. I woke up and the pillow I was like stuck to the pillow, and it was like, I checked my hands, there was like blood over them, and then I tried to wake my mum, and she was like, go back to sleep. It was like 4 a.m, 5 a.m. So I was like, okay, I'll go back to sleep then. And then I wake up at like 6 or 7, looked down, it's actually all red everywhere. And she turned over, looked at me, and we didn't have a phone in the house. So didn't have like a landline phone. And so she had to go shout like 2 balconies down to the street for someone to like call an ambulance and come through. So it was like literally didn't have anything.
And how long would that battle kind of last for?
It was about 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
So like what are your memories of that time?
I remember like, yeah, the bad stuff, like in the ambulance going like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with me on the way to the hospital, getting there, my mum coming back crying, being like, you're gonna be here for a while. What does that mean? Then like every 2 weeks she'd go for a lumbar puncture, which if you don't know what it is, it's like they shove a huge needle in your back. So that would be like every 2 weeks and knock me out and do that. You just remember the bad stuff. So it's like, yeah, you get isolation in a room away from my parents for like 2 weeks. But obviously missed years 1 and 2 at school. So like key years in your life, and they were gone and taken away from me. So yeah, that was kind of the stuff that I do remember. Is there any positive stuff that I remember? Can there be? I don't know.
Well, I suppose I was going to say the positive thing is like how amazing your mum was, because
yeah, it made her really ill actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I think off the back of it and the stress and everything that went into it, she got really ill off that. Yeah, I remember the nights she'd sleep next to me, and she'd ask the hospital if she could like literally camp next to the bed. And so yeah, honestly, yeah, wouldn't have been able to shout to her.
So how did that period of illness impact you in your later childhood?
I think I always knew that I had to try harder than the other kids, and my mum like beat that into me. I think that off the back of it, I don't know, I was quite a skinny, pale, young kid, not much has changed. Yeah, I was always like a bit different to the people at school. And then I think that kind of sculpted my personality a little bit, and I was probably like the class clown, or I'd try and, if I wasn't looking like other people, I'd try and make other people laugh. And I think that's kind of, as I say, like not wanting to change much in my life, that's probably then sculpted me for who I am today. So there's been like multiple steps in my life where it's been like, I could have literally gone in 1 or 2 ways. Like, how are you brought up? Oh, your parents are separated, bang, you've gone into different ways. There's been some trouble with addiction in my family as well. Then there's like, you have leukemia, where do you go? I've just been super lucky that through my mum, through who I am, we've been able to like break out of that entire mold and be alive and be well and have a great thing going for me now.
What made you then start a YouTube channel? What made you get into that world?
I wasn't very academic, and there's not much at schools, or there wasn't historically, that kind of catered for people that were maybe a little bit more creatively minded rather than academically minded. If I'd have applied myself to academics as I have done with the creative side of my life, I would have been like, I don't know, I'd like to think that I'd be at like Oxford, but I just wasn't set for that. My brain doesn't work like that, and you weren't catered for being creative. So I tried my best to be, in terms of I did drama. I didn't do art because I couldn't draw, but I basically tried to do as many creative things as I could, and that came across in sport as well, like football, rugby, squash. Really good at squash because it was like there's an art to it. And then I was like, I'm really good at Call of Duty. I'm going to show the world that I'm good at Call of Duty. So I played with my schoolmates, and then again, like, didn't have that much money through this period, so it's like, can I have a laptop for Christmas? My dad was like, yeah, you can have a laptop for Christmas, because went in and out of contact with him during my childhood. Originally, it was like laptop, like an old Acer laptop that I would turn the other way facing towards my small 20-inch TV, and the laptop would record the screen, and then I'd upload that onto YouTube. Really good at Call of Duty, started a clips channel. The only way I can describe it is like you being framed for Call of Duty clips. So cool, interesting stuff that happened, I'd curate it, upload 3 times a day for like a year or 2, and then dropped out of uni. And at the end of the year, I just didn't turn up to my final exam, because I was like, this is me, this is my future. I believe in this so much. Didn't tell my mum, just came home and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going back next year. Like, they've sent this letter and I'm not going back. And she started crying. Obviously, everything that she did to get me to that point, I'd then thrown out the window. Sorry, Mum. But I believed it. I believed in it. I knew that this was going to be the future, but by how engrossed I was in it.
Were you making enough money at that point for that to be a career, or was it that much of a gamble that you went for it anyway?
Yeah, there was no money. There was no money whatsoever in it back then. The only money was like machinima contracts, I think. Oh, yeah. So if you got yourself a machinima contract, then you were like singing. So I like had a couple friends that had shows on there, and I'd edit together clips or bits of the show and then try and get paid that way. But when I left uni, I don't think I was earning any money. And then a week after I left, I got contacted by a YouTube network called Base 79, who are now Brave Bison. I think they were bought by Rightster. And Rich Mansell, who is now still my manager, co-founded After Party Studios with me, works with me on No Two Ways as well. He interviewed me when they were just bringing me in to sign my channel up, the Call of Duty channel. And he was like, this guy knows so much about YouTube, like, offered me a job on the spot. So I started next Monday, went out of uni straight into a YouTube job, worked there for 3.5 years, quit the Black Ops channel, started Callux, and the rest is history.
But when did you really start to feel your career as a content creator take off?
Yeah, it was my first video on the Callux channel. Because I was like, what shall I do? What is no one else doing? And how can I be different? And I think there was like one other person at the time that was doing public interviews out in London. And I think it was Sam Pepper. And so I just went out and tried to do something a bit different to him. Yeah, my first video was animal impressions, where I went out, what's your favourite animal? Will you do an impression for me? So stupid, but just wanted to carve a niche and do something different. And that's when I think my first video did 110,000 views when I had no subscribers. So I was like, oh, right, I'm onto something here.
Just want to ask you, what's your favourite animal?
Animal, tiger.
Can you do an impression of a tiger?
Oh my god.
Just one.
Do I have to?
Go on, growl at me.
My favorite animal is a horse.
Can you do an impression of a horse?
Impression.
Yeah, like, nay! Thank you.
How many subscribers have you got now?
I got 4 million. I can't actually believe it. And every time you think you've hit like the top, then it just keeps going. And I think I'm so lucky to be surrounded by such an amazing group of like-minded people, the Sidemen, Cal, Randy, and all the other UK YouTubers that are doing their own thing and trying to push forward all the time. I knew that it would be the future. I didn't know it was going to be the future. I didn't know that we'd be sitting here now and you lot care about like what we've done with our lives and how it's happened. There were still times when I was a YouTuber and I was a couple years in where I had to like borrow money from Wonga.com and then pay it back a couple weeks later when I got paid. So, and it's pretty much only like in the last year or two that I'm like, okay, cool, maybe this is like something that I can do to generate generational wealth and not just like make sure that everyone below me and my family is good, because like I wasn't given the best start, so how can I give everyone else below me a good start?
How would you describe your content now?
I think I was one of the first YouTubers to come up with like a single idea and then go and execute it in the best way possible. In the olden days, back a couple of years ago, I'd pick a thing like I'm going to prank my friends in a seance prank and then do it and then film every single part of it and make sure it's meticulously edited and a really stunning thing to watch.
Is there a video that sticks out in your head as the video you're most proud of?
Yeah, the Movember series that I filmed last year, basically trying to get young men to open up about their mental health and just talk to each other and have a conversation when times are hard. And even when times are not hard, but just have a secure group around you that you trust and that you can talk to about anything.
Your two favourite fishermen have arrived. What's up, everyone? Hello, welcome. I'm here today with Ethan. We're going to do some fly fishing. But not only are we fishing, we're going to catch a fish, gut it, and then eat it.
Have you fished before?
Never. So do you feel better prepared for lockdown?
Oh, I saw you talk about this the other
Yeah.
day. You said that this time round you actually you're doing...
Prepared for it,
Yeah, you're doing good. I wasn't.
Why
at all.
why not?
They did some research, Movember did, and 50% of boys in the UK that are aged 15 to 25 saw those Movember videos last year, which is like nuts. It's like, it's such a real, tangible set of data. Like, people still come up to me on the street and they go, when are you making more of those videos? Because like they were great. So I think there's single videos that I'm super proud of, but as a series, that Movember thing I think has changed a lot of people's lives. And well, I like to think so. The amount of messages and the engagement that I got off of the back of it was crazy. So really glad that I did those videos. But it's so weird that the audience, that like, they see us as these like amazing godlike creatures that don't have anything going on. And when you talk about like, oh yeah, I was on my own for 3 months in lockdown, they're like, oh, no way. So I think we just need to bear that in mind a little bit more, that they just see and believe and consume us in our best possible state when it's not always like that.
What's the point for you during this whole creator journey that's been the hardest point for you mentally?
It's really tough to pick out a single moment in time. There's been times where I've been like super low, and you know, but they wouldn't be down to like what I do. Maybe it's just a bit of everything, or it's personal life that then seeps into. But the actual journey, I think, is always hard, and you just need to keep overcoming it. And that's life. Like life's like, there's no single point. It's just like you go through these small battles, maybe every day, every week, or every month, or you'll be good for a couple months, and then someone will knock you off your ledge, your pedestal, whatever, and then you just kind of have to. It's how you get up from that. So I think that YouTube in itself is like an unrelenting beast that is, you'll make an amazing video and you'll see some creators make amazing videos and then they won't upload for like months afterwards because like they've put all their work and effort into this one video and then they're like, oh, I have to go and do that again and again and again and again until you just stop. So I think it's that like the never ending, you know, it just keeps going. I think that that's the hardest bit.
Has that ever brought you to the point of burnout?
Oh, I've burnt out like 5 times now, yeah. Because I used to throw my all into each video and then I'd sit there afterwards and you'd get that dopamine hit straight away of like, oh, it's on 1 million views in 12 hours, 2 million, 3 million. And then you're like, I have to do this again.
Yeah.
And again, keep going. You know, as long as you've got good people around you to talk to and you do some fun stuff on the side and look after yourself, go to therapy, then you're good, you're fine.
What's been the happiest moment in that creator journey you've had?
Probably the first release of No Two Ways. I started a sneaker brand about 2 years ago, and that first release was like kind of everything that I'd worked for and everything that I've learned, to then put 750 pairs of shoes on sale at 6 p.m. on the 15th of August, and then them sell out in 63 seconds. There's a clip of the whole thing happening, and I just burst out crying straight away. I don't know why, but it was almost like I wasn't sad, I was just like overwhelmed by like I didn't know that my path was going to lead me here, but my whole path led me to this point where I started a brand and people cared so much that it sold out in 60 seconds.
Like, this is not YouTube merch, this is another level entirely. How did this come about?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that it's not YouTube merch, because obviously we did a piece of research, and that was what like people said. They were like, this is so different, which means so much, because that's what we tried to do from the beginning. I had a passion for sneakers for years and years and years. I wouldn't say like I'm an early sneakerhead going back, but I'd say I'm a new generational sneakerhead. And so I was collecting, buying pieces, trying to sell them, so on. And I was like, wait, hold on a second, like, why has no one done this before? Like, actually made their own. The majority of the time, a big celebrity or an influencer or someone will want to do, say, sneakers or makeup, and they'll go to a brand and they'll co-produce it with them. I was like, I knew that was the only way in for me at the beginning. So I did that. I hit up 2 brands. One of them came around my house, looked at my collection, was like, yeah, come down to the factory next week. Never got in contact with me again and didn't reply to any of my emails. It was a warm intro as well. It was a friend of a friend, and they never got back to me. So I was like, do you know what? You. Sorry. I know you're probably going to. I don't mean it in like that, but like as in back. You're probably a really nice guy, but but like I'm going to go do this myself. And so I did, and I kept like throwing it out into the world. I'd be on shoots like this. I'd be like, does anyone know? Like, I want to start shoes. Does anyone know anyone? La la la. Met a couple people, and then met Rocky, Rockwell Princely, the most humble, talented guy I've ever met in any of my industries that I've worked in. He knows absolutely everything about trainers. I knew he was the guy after 15 minutes of meeting him, and from there, yeah, just started. I guess the why is because I had an interest in sneakers, and because no one else had done it, and I love taking risks and throwing my own money into projects that have probably no probability of getting it back ever, where it's a huge risk. That's what Richard likes to say, my manager or mentor likes to say. He's just like, you love taking a risk, but they just keep paying off, so yeah.
How do you even start designing a shoe?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to make something completely from scratch, so obviously the option was there to just buy a shoe from the pre-made shoe and put a logo on the side of it, and I think that's what maybe 90% of other people would have done, because it's really hard. I brought some with. I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
I brought some with me. So I've got like a very early sample. This was the first shoe that we released, Exuberance, and then here's like a earliest sample. They're supposed to be the same shoe, or this is like this is the real one, and this is probably I don't know, the third or fourth sample that we got through. And absolutely everything on here is designed by us, but it was kind of about the hardest thing to do for us at the beginning was the outsole, because it's around $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 per size to open a mold for an outsole. So immediately at the beginning you're going to be chucking in 50 grand just for one part of the shoe. And then yeah, pretty much everything. We did months of trend research. We looked at who our competitors might be. What fashion is designed maybe a year or two ahead. So we went to kind of conferences, events, had a look at what materials were coming in, what colours and palettes, and spent basically 8 months straight, barely uploaded any YouTube videos, just kind of working out what it's going to look like. And this is where we got to very early on. You'll see that they are, a little bit similar. We've got different midsole, outsole, and then we've taken some stars off, but the design's kind of there. The material's not, and the colours are slightly different, and there's been some upgrades to like the tongue and logos and so on, but this looks very generic, I think, with the outsole. And I think we wanted to be quite different. And Rocky, I can't take much credit. I can take credit for some of the decisions along the way, but and we worked on this shoe together. But it's his, ideation and his know-how that went into this. And I think that we've got a silhouette now that is quite recognisable if you see it on the street, even with like the orange pull tabs, which are on the majority of our shoes, or just this chunky midsole outsole kind of thing here that I think is so different to everyone else, and so much so now that like H&M and other people are copying it. Like that's finally happening, which is sick. Thank you so much, you. But I think this one as well looked like a little bit childish, a little bit rounded. Every single decision, basically, we sat there for hours and hours going, right, is it a gummy sole? Does it fade? What's the quality of this? What leather should we use? Should it be something that is vegan, or should it be something that's nubuck or something else? And the price difference in that, and how much should the shoe cost? So in the end, the shoe actually, this is a really expensive shoe that probably should be on sale for like £200, £300, £400 from any other brand. But I wanted to sell it for 90, which basically meant that we made no money on the first one. But I just wanted to make the best possible product. I don't think many people have seen this as well.
Wow,
I think
man,
this is
it's amazing to see something before.
Exclusive. Look, it even says on the bottom.
Yeah.
Sample, not
What's
for commercial
fascinating is
use.
just it's seeing the progression. Like you can see where the creative decisions have been made. It's interesting to see them both together.
And then then we move on to kind of where we are now. This is the first time that these have ever been shown on camera.
Oh.
So I don't know when this is coming out, but these are going to be very soon. I don't know if they'll be next, but I just thought I'd wear something special today for you guys.
We'll move it up the edit
yeah.
schedule now. Get the exclusive. So, like, looking at your YouTube channel over the past few years, is it fair to say that the budget of your videos has got higher in the last year in particular, maybe?
Yeah, I started After Party Studios as a thing to enable me to make higher quality content, but then it slowly started to slip away from me in terms of like, they started doing like amazing stuff. KSI Can't Lose, Sony Pictures, the documentary about KSI's first fight and leading up to the Logan Paul one. If you haven't watched it yet, by the way, it's actually amazing, but that was made by us. Directed by Rubber Duck. And then we've worked with like Netflix and so many other companies now. So yeah, it was there to kind of make my content get better, but now it's off and it's doing its own thing, and I'm still there every day. No Two Ways, After Party and Callux are all in the same office now in East London. But I'd say in the last year, I actually don't like high quality videos. I don't like shooting stuff like this anymore. I don't like it because I think it takes away, the audience feel a little bit alienated by it, I think. They want to see a GoPro that's in 1080p that's zoomed in 4 times. Do you know? They don't want to see this. But this has a time and a place, like my Movember videos are obviously like filmed like this. But I try and stay away from it now, actually. I think it's gone full circle. Take me back to filming with my laptop camera.
We'll see that in the next Callux video then.
Let's do it.
But okay, but then when you're looking around now on YouTube, who inspires you?
I think the beautiful thing about our friend group is that everyone's doing their own thing. So I'm actually inspired by all of those guys. I actually saw there's a clip of JJ the other day. Someone sent it to me yesterday. Him saying that he's the richest at the moment, but I'm going to be the richest in the future. But isn't it amazing that you can have that conversation? It's not about being rich. Obviously, that stems from like doing cool shit. And I think that we're all doing it. So I'm inspired by all of them, and I hope that I inspire some of them as well. But if I have to pick someone like David Dobrik, obviously like revolutionised vlogging. And Mr. Beast is just Mr. Beast. Congrats on 100 million. So there's some of the things that he's done within his business and how he runs his YouTube channel, I've taken. But yeah, hopefully, I've helped inspire some other younger creators as well in the same way.
What do you think is the future of content?
I think TikTok's ruining people's minds, but I do love it. But like, if we're being serious, like people's attention spans are already quite bad going from like TV and film to YouTube. And now we've got stuff that you can get a hit of dopamine every 5 seconds. You can literally scroll, yeah, wow, yeah, you feel it, that was funny, you laugh, you send it to a friend, bang, next one. And you can just keep doing that. It's this like casino, slot machine. Every time you flick, it's the slot machine, you're pulling it. You've just got unlimited coins, but you actually don't know that the coins that you're giving away are your own mind, your mental health. You're comparing yourself to other people. People don't realize what this is doing now, and unfortunately, as a creator, you need to take this in mind because this is the stuff that is working. Things will come back around, but I think at the moment, kind of wish TikTok was banned.
You grew up probably watching television and watching TV.
4 channels.
Yeah, 4 channels.
Channels.
I'm interested to know, like, as a YouTuber who's 30, how do you now view television?
Look, TV's finally like getting some YouTubers on board in certain places, talent shows or whatever. I was in LA like 2 days ago and I saw Liza Koshy, I think that's her name, Koshy, up on a billboard with like, who was it? It was like 2 mega celebrities and then her. And she's super famous in the US. I'm not going to take that away from her, but 5 years ago you wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
No way. That would have been another famous person. So I think TV's finally embracing us, but they're nowhere near where they should be. We should be on the TV every day. But guess what? The KSI did a Ask Me Anything on Reddit yesterday, and I read through it, and one of the things was like, will we ever see you on TV? And he went, no. Because like, we are the TV.
Yeah.
You took too long, you didn't believe in us, and now we're gone. And like, your watch time is just gonna go down, down, and down, and down, unless you come up with clever ways to embrace what the kids wanna watch.
You talked about having a good group of people around you, and like you've come up with and built like the Sidemen and Calfreezy and all these people. What's it been like growing your brands together?
I think that I liken our relationship as like, it's like almost the same as uni. In that you go to uni, you study a subject, and those people that you're with are like your lives have led here, and you have common interest. But then on YouTube, I think it's even just beyond that as well. I think it's like you've all gone through this time where you had to do ideation, editing, promotion, marketing, how do you make money, what's next. So we're all so like-minded, because I think that we've actually also, not only just because we're doing the same stuff over the last 10 years, but we've also been sculpted by the business. So it's like having another, 9 brains that are exactly the same, you think the same way, but everyone has their own intricacies or their specialisms. So it's almost like perfect. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. People meet KSI and they're like expect him to be this horrible, but he's like one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life, and has time for everyone, but yet is like killing the world. I got Addison Lee on the way here, right? And I drove past the Sidemen on a billboard at Old Street, Defy Expectations, a brand deal on the side. I was like, wow. And that's just happening more and more. You've got Bazinga on a board, you've got KSI on a bus because it's capital. YouTubers aren't anymore just like kids in bedrooms making videos. They're out here, I'm gonna put this out here, and I think that KSI is the next rock. Like, going to be absolutely huge in 10 years. Like, everyone in the world will know him.
Like, when you look at that journey from where you were with no money to where you are now with this entire business underneath you, how does that make you feel? Yeah,
there was actually, it's really interesting that you asked that question. There was a moment the other day when the office was pretty full, and I was like, every single person in here works for companies that were my brainchild. And I was like, yeah, I can't take credit for kind of some of the steps that have taken along the way, especially in After Party Studios, because it went off and became its own beast, its own incredible production company on its own. And you know what? It's not just like a group of people that, all work for me or all the ideas that I've created, but they're a group of people that are all so nice. I know this is kind of slightly like left field of what your question was, but I think I'm so lucky to have such an amazing group of people around me, and definitely wouldn't be at the heights I am now without them. So there's also like the pride in that, like just having such a solid group of people. Because the way I like to hire generally is like, are you good at what you do? Yes, cool. And some people might stop there. The next level is like, are you a nice person? And I think we put a lot into that. Be really nice, like care, and I'll be able to trust you and stuff like that is number 2. And then number 3 is like, are they smarter than me? It's like, drop your ego to the side. Is this person actually going to be able to teach you something and propel your career?
Callum, is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything else you think we've missed that you would like to cover?
I think you just got my whole life in like 45 minutes. No, I'm good.
Yeah, probably footballers, boxers. I get a lot of rappers in my DMs. I do want a DM from Jack Harlow, but I haven't had that yet, so. Yeah, Jack, if you're watching this, I will you. I'm just saying.